Hello viewers, welcome to my YouTube video tutorial on how to make a simple converter. Okay, as you can see over here, there's a converter that converts kilograms to grams and grams to kilograms. Okay, now let's see how this converter works. So we said 1 kilogram is equivalent to 1000 grams, then 21 kilograms is going to be equivalent to 21,000 grams. So as you can see, this converter works as I input the value. Okay, now let's check out with the grams. 1000 grams equals 1 kilogram. Then 10, okay, let's take 21,000 grams equals 21 kilograms. Okay, now by the end of this tutorial, we'll be able to make this whole chunk. Okay, now let me start with an HTML. Okay, as you can see, this HTML has been set up, and as you can see, this HTML has been set up with the basic codes, and now I'm really going to teach you how this is done. Okay, now let's give it a title of, let's see, anything, YouTube converter. Okay, so YouTube converter. Let's come to the body and give it a very big heading. So you know that okay, so heading, let's name it maybe converter. Okay, so converter, and here we would like to make two inputs that will be taking the user input. So one will be having kilogram in front of it. Okay, so let's say input type, let's give it the type of number so that we will be limited to your user, like your user will be limited to inputting only numbers. And let's give it a nice ID of kilograms because that's the kilogram input. So let's make the same thing for our grams. Okay, so I'm just making things simple here because I'm lazy at typing. Again, I'm not a good typist, by the way, so if any of you knows how to maybe type very well and has some tips to help me with, you can leave it in the comment box down there. Okay, so kilograms and grams set. Now what else? Let's start with the scripting. Okay, let's have a preview of this in our Chrome. Okay, so preview. Okay, that's really smooth, and you can see at this level nothing is happening because we haven't done any scripting. Okay, now let's give it a JavaScript. I'll be making an external JavaScript file because this is just a simple tutorial, and that one is really going to waste your time because I want everything to be simple for you. So now let's give this input a new attribute which is unchanged and call a function. So the function we want to call is calculate for grams. Okay, so calc-g, that's really nice, calc-g. So this function will be called whenever the value inside this input is changing. And let's make another attribute called onInput. So this same function will be called whenever you start inputting a data inside this input, and again whenever it's changing, this same function will be called. So let's make the same thing for our grams. Okay, so but for this one, let's change it to k, so calculate grams. So you might wonder why I'm making the kilograms rather g and the grams rather k. Okay, the reason is that whenever the person is typing inside the kilograms input, you like to calculate for the grams, and when it's inputting inside the grams, you like to calculate for the kilograms. Okay, now in our script, let's create these functions calc-g and calc-k. So let's start with calc-g. So calc-g, sorry, we have to first call the function. So function calc-g. Okay, it's taking no parameters, and function calc-g, we would like to make two variables to hold those inputs, the inputs of these two inputs. Okay, So the first variable we'll be making is, let's say, x. So let's say x equals document dot, so we'll be getting the element by id. So get element by id, and the id for the kilogram is kilograms. So just stick it over here and dot value. So what this piece of code does is it takes the value of the input and saves it to the variable x. So now let's make this same thing for the input of the grams. So let's make this grams because it has an id of grams, and make this y. So I don't know why I like using x and y very much. The same as mathematics, always find x. Okay, so now as I'm almost done with the calculating, let's say now when we are calculating g, we are calculating for the grams. So let's say document dot get element by id grams dot value. So get element by id grams dot value is equal to, so we want to give it a new value whenever a value is entered for the kilograms. So this new value will be equal to, as we all know, 1000 grams equals 1 kilogram. So a kilogram times 1000 is equal to its corresponding grams. So if this is the kilograms, we say x times 1000. Now let's create a function for the grams. So let's copy this whole bunch of code and paste it, and let's just change this to k rather. And now as we are over here, when we are calculating for kilograms, so kilograms, and 1000 grams equals 1 kilogram. So over here we'll be dividing y, which is the grams, by 1000. Okay, it seems our code is ready. So we have the header. Okay, so now let's have a preview. Let's refresh this, and the kilograms, let's enter 1. Okay, wow, it's working. So 1 kilograms equals 1 gram, and let's enter 2. Okay, equals 2000. Now the same way, let's enter the grams, something like 8. So 8 grams equals 0.008 kilograms. Okay, this is moving smooth, this working. Now you can copy this bunch of code and put it in your website, and again you can add some styling to it for it to look appealing. Okay, by the way, let me run you through this code again. We have the h being the big header appearing on our page as converter. Now with the kilograms, we have the input on input, meaning this function should be called whenever the user starts inputting a data inside our input, and on change, whenever the value inside is changing, this same function should be called. And this type limits us to inputting only numbers, and we have an id of kilogram, which will be a reference in our JavaScript. Now the same over here, so let me run you to the JavaScript. So function calculate g. So whenever our user starts inputting a data inside the kilograms, we want to calculate for the grams. So to calculate for the grams, we used x to hold the value of what is inputting, and we used y to reference the value of what will be inside the grams. So we said document.get element by grams the value should be equal to x times 1000. So meaning the value of the kilograms times 1000, and the same applies here, but just changing. So just sit down a few minutes, go through this code, and I hope you'll be done. Okay, thank you for watching my video. Subscribe and like, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll meet in the next video. Thank you.